Hello, this is Michelle Haj-Broussard from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and this is an introduction to our language journal A, moving from English into Spanish. So some of the things that you need to know in terms of unlocking a new language is that there are certain techniques that will help you. There are usually in every language about 1,000 words that make up 80% of the spoken language. So we have distilled 1,000 words through our 4 journals. So Journal A has 250 that will help you to really speak in the language without having to learn a ton of vocabulary. We also use a method called spaced repetition, which basically means that things that you miss, you can come back and get. So that's going to really help you with your memory. So you're going to study something, give it a little time to go into your long-term memory, and then study it again. We also have some choice-based activities that are going to be based on your interests and your needs. And we also have some low-risk practice so that you can practice the language without really having to worry about it. And then we talk about linguistic risk, which means getting out there, using your language so that you can start to understand what it is to actually speak the language. Because in order to be a language learner, you will have to take risks. So in order to really learn the language, one of the things you have to be aware of is there are some pronunciation differences. So when you see the language, when you see the letters, it's not pronounced the same way as English. For example, the double R's are rolled. The 2 L's together make a Y sound. And also the J in Spanish makes more of an H sound. So what we would say as Jesus would be Jesus.
R, 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 D, R, R, Y, Y, and J.
Some tongue twisters. We're going to work on some tongue twisters to help you practice them. The first tongue twister is working with the R, and the J, the J. I'm going to say it to the best of my ability, and then we're going to let you listen to an actual Spanish speaker who will say it for you. So the way I would say it, working on my Spanish, just to go for the linguistic risk here, is Rodolfo el cerrajero vende herreras y cerrejos en su cerrería, coloca herreras y abre cerreros de rejas. So that was my version. Here's a better version.
R, R, D, and J. Rodolfo el cerrajero vende herrajes y cerrojos en su cerrajería. Coloca herrajes y abre cerrojos de rejas.
And then for the double L's, it's la anilla del llavero no tiene llave. ¿Quién se ha llevado de llave de la anilla del llavero?
Ella. Y. La anilla del llavero no tiene llave. ¿Quién se ha llevado la llave de la anilla del llavero?
All right, so we've worked on pronunciation. So now we're going to go into each of the weeks within Language Journal A. So for week 1, the first thing you're going to do is look at the 250 words. Remember, that's 250 of the 1,000 total. And you're going to circle all the words you don't know because you want to work on those words. Then the next page has you writing sentences. You want to write about 2 sentences a day with unknown words. Those can be the unknown words from those 250 words or other unknown words that you have in your life, right? The third thing you're going to do is then find a song. I always look on Lyrics Training, which is an app that lets me do multiple choice for the words so I can work on my listening skills. And they have a great selection of Spanish songs. Mi Verdad is one of my favorites. Solo Otra Vez by Il Divo, another great song. So there's lots of really good songs. The next thing we're going to do is work on verbs. So our verb work for week 1 is simply to define the 10 most important verbs. And we use these verbs because they're the ones that are irregular. So if you studied Spanish, you probably remembered regular verbs. They didn't have any differences. You could easily conjugate them. The problem with those verbs is those aren't the ones you use every day. The reason that irregular verbs are irregular is because you use them more often than the others. So we want to work on those irregular verbs. After the verb work, we're going to look at linguistic risk. So in linguistic risk, you're going to have a selection of activities that we suggest that will help you to sort of go out there and practice your language. You want to try to do 1 or 2 linguistic risks every week in order to really get you using the language. And then finally, we have sort of a check-off list where you're saying what you actually did for the week. And the very last section of week 1, you have notes. You're going to write down what you learned and what you want to learn. So this activity and the song activity are both sort of choice activities that you can do according to your interests and your needs.